Good morning. It is Jessica Jones with Horton Truland Homes, and today I'm going to go over the pros, the cons, and everything in between of living in Spanish Fort, Alabama. Right now, I am in Churchill and Spanish Fort, standing in front of our Caden floor plan. But while I'm out here, I'm going to go through one of my personal, probably cons. It can be both, but I will say it is 9:30 in the morning here, August 15th. And we are already at 90 degrees. So any hair straightening or makeup that I did for this video is probably melted off my face and gone. It is really nice when you're getting ready for school or things like that. And, it's bright, it's sunny out. But just as a personal issue, I will say I'm a hot person. So waking up and going out and being hot is not my personal favorite. But also love it in the evenings. Love it when I pick my son up from school and we've got good sunlight until about 7:30. So that would be, I'd say we're teetering in the middle on the weather, on the hotness. I don't want to be sweaty and gross for these videos. But here we are. All right, let's kick it off. All right, guys, I had a chance to dry off a little bit, and now I'm sitting in the beautiful kitchen of our Caden floor plan, and I wanted to sit down and kind of go over one of the top pros of Spanish Fort, Alabama is definitely the schools here. So as a mom of a Spanish Fort child, you can see from a lot of the school rankings for Alabama or even nationally, Spanish Fort schools are almost always at the top. For the state, I want to say Spanish Fort High School is top 10. There are 3 different elementary schools in Spanish Fort that are all wonderful. My son attends Spanish Fort Elementary that's been around for eons. They actually just won a NAPPY. It's a local award, the NAPPY Award for the best public school in Baldwin County. We have amazing teachers, amazing programs. My son is in 3rd grade. He will be doing Project Jubilee, which is a gifted program for kids who can test for that. And they have a ton of family-friendly things to do within the school's events and things like that. Of course, there's also sports, city, things like that. Spanish Fort has, my son's done soccer, there's t-ball, coach pitch, all those little things. And the good thing is that a lot of these kids who go to different schools or might have gone to the same daycare or something still interact in those group activities and get to see each other. I think we have a little group from our daycare that the boys, there's 5 of them, and they all go to all different schools, but we still get together and they still play sports with each other. It's great. I will say I've been tremendously happy with our elementary school. I have yet to test out the other ones, but I hear great things about Stonebridge and Rockwell, the other elementary schools. I've done a presentation for the Spanish Fort high schoolers highlighting real estate. So that is an amazing school. It looks like almost like a mini college. It's crazy in there. But there's definitely, if you have kids, school-age kids, Spanish Fort is one of the best in our area. So I also would like to highlight what I would say would be a con. It's not totally a con because it is one of the greatest things, but hey, this is what it is. I hope that we can get a map right here of Highway 31. So Highway 31 is kind of the main drag for Spanish Fort. It starts from the causeway, goes all the way down to Loxley. But there are three elementary schools within on 31. So I will say con for Jessica is sitting in traffic in the morning. If you are doing car rider or, have anywhere to get between 7 and 8 on 31, just prepare yourself. Leave at an earlier time. You have multiple elementary schools that are along that route. Spanish Fort Elementary, Rockwell, the entrance for Jimmy Faulkner, which goes to the middle school and high school, is right off there. Stonebridge, is within its own little area. But I will say 31, the traffic in the mornings and probably around when school gets out too is, you know, it's not so much fun. There have been mornings, this has been the first week of school that I sat through 4 red lights. So it is a little crazy. I know it'll die down, but that is one of the things that being a smaller town, and you got the one main road, you just got to know what times to hit it and when to go, pick up your groceries or run to a store, or, when you need to leave earlier for some things. I try to warn my people who, love Spanish Fort. There's tons of amenities and things in the communities over here. But if you're working in Mobile or something like that, yeah, you might have to leave a little bit earlier to get to the interstate from these areas just because of that morning traffic. So that's what I would kind of wrap up in a little bubble. Fantastic schools, school traffic, crazy. Okay, I'm now in the living area of the Caden floor plan. And this is where I want to talk about all the family things that there are to do in Spanish Fort. It is a super family friendly area. So not only do you have like Blakely State Park and multiple parks around here to take your kids to meet up, there's baseball parks. We call it the Blue Playground. I don't know what the name of it technically is, but that's where my little boy loves to go. And there's also the Malbus Mall that is right nearby. They have events up there. There's a Barnes and Noble that kind of have some things going on. The Malbus Mall, which is technically Malbus's Spanish Fort, has Santa Claus. They do the homecoming parade there. There are a ton of things that if you just want to hang out on this one main drag, you can always find things to do, it seems like. They also have the fort, which is kind of growing and having events there. We went to a foam party there. It was really fun. And then you've got the outdoor shopping. Bass Pro Shop is in Spanish Fort. Sometimes we just like to go up there and sit and watch the fish tank. And also a bowling alley. So I do know Jessica and Tony are bowlers. I try to bowl. I'm terrible at it. But that is part of it. It has an arcade. They're doing a racetrack and mini golf there that's in the works. It should be opening pretty soon if it's not. So there's definitely a lot of things for your kiddos to do in this area. I will say, as someone who grew up in the area, maybe a con if you're in your 20s or, maybe even early 30s and you're a single person. There's not a lot. Con would be not a lot of nightlife things going on here. So I'll talk about that for a second. There are some things to do for meetups and like very specific, bingo nights or things like that. But as far as like clubs or venues, Spanish Fort, you don't have very much. I will say that. You're going to go to Mobile. You're going to go to Pensacola. You're going to go down to the Floribama or somewhere else to fill that void. Being from the area, I think when we were all in our mid-20s, we hung out at the local barbecue place that had a bar. So things like that, it's not super oriented or geared towards like a nightlife community or area. It is what it is. But there's a ton of great places that you can easily get to. So I've been to concerts in Pensacola. There's the Sanger Theater in Mobile. Or like I said, the Floribama, that's where everyone does their bachelorette party or something like that. So you do have that where you can fill the void of having it where you're living, and have it nearby. So I will say, If you're younger and you want to have that capability, but you don't necessarily want to live in it, then you do have some amazing places that you can go that are close. So that would be pros and cons. Super family, not a lot to do after 9 for Spanish Fort. Okay, with all of the great things about Spanish Fort, I will say you have to be prepared for growth. Now, growth is always going to be, one of each. As far as a pro and a con, I feel like I want a Trader Joe's. I want all the fun things to do around here. You will hear a lot of the locals say, like, oh my gosh, all these people moving from other places. I personally have lived in 4 other states. I think it's great. I love to meet people from other places. I think that having that kind of melting pot and learning about different people and where they're from is really cool. And also any growth is going to bring, new new things to your area. That being said, prepare for when you move here. We have a community right now in Spanish Fort that still has a projected 800 to 1,000 homes to go. So Spanish Fort is definitely going to be an area that's picking up. I'm imagining they're going to have to add more schools, things like that. But along with that, you're going to get some really awesome benefits. So, coming from a larger city or something, this might be nothing to you living here through that. But for the people from the old locals in the area, it's different. It is growing. So, depending on your perspective, this can be great for us. I truly believe that, and just be mindful that you will probably be in an area that's got a new community coming up. There's more houses being added. Churchill is actually in Spanish Fort. This is a community that has been started, been lived in for a little while now. And the phase that we're in is kind of in a back section. So that's something that, the people here are probably going to get used to, that there are construction trucks, things like that coming through. But also it's not huge. It's kind of one little loop through here. But besides that, we do have more communities coming up in Spanish Fort. So I want to show off our new frameless tile shower. That's again here in one of the Horton plans that can be added on in some of the homes. And kind of along with that, if you are a spa girly or anything, or even a spa bro, if you like going to get massages or sit in a sauna or anything like that and treat yourself, I will say too, we are very limited on that in this area. So there are a couple places that to go to for things like that, the Grand Hotel or the Battle House in Mobile. But there are very limited places in Spanish Fort. Again, they're within an arm's reach, but that is one thing that I wish we had more of. I just love the decor in this bedroom. So side note, the Caden is a 5-bedroom, 2.5 plan. It's a little bit it's a little bit over 2,400 square feet. And we have it throughout several neighborhoods, but I'm a year of the tiger baby, so I like tiger pictures. Anyways, one of the cool, great things about Spanish Fort, I'm not totally a history buff. I will say, I claim to be more like I'm more street smart than book smart. All right, guys. Spanish Fort has a ton of history in the area as far as like Civil War memorabilia, things like that. I've heard of friends of mine, finding like bullets in their yard, things like that. Nothing that's harmful, but there's a lot of cool artifacts. And Blakely State Park is one of those places that you can go to and hear the history and walk through some of the things. Of course, there's rumors that it's haunted. So if you like stuff like that, it is cool to take a little adventure of there and hear some of the history of the area. And also the bay. So you do have bay access in some of the places in Spanish Fort, but you are right across the interstate from going to like Jackson Oak, which is technically in Daphne, but it's very, very close. And they have all the little the placards that, tell about the history of the area. And there is a ton of history here. So if you love things like that, ghosts freak me out. And like I said, I'm probably the worst about knowing American history if anyone wants to yell at me or give me a lesson. But we are filled with that here. So that is something that if you like to explore and learn about, you could probably just go ahead and Google it. That is one of those things Spanish Fort is known for. So I hope that was slightly informational and not too overwhelming. If there are any more questions anybody has about Spanish Fort, living in the area, kids in the area, things like that, give me a shout, give Jesse and Tony a shout. We will give you all of our honest feedback. And I look forward to meeting you here in Lower Alabama.